Always great, Larken Rose. Philosopher, writer, got a special insight into psychopathy. For the crime of daring to keep what he earned, he was jailed by them, not with them, by them, and used that special insight to come up with the topic we're going to be speaking to today. And it is a chat with sociopaths. Please welcome Larken Rose.
Thank you very much. If you're like me, you probably pretty much can't stand to watch television, especially when the news is on. Every once in a while I catch a glimpse of it, and I remember why I don't watch it in my house. Because it's all statist propaganda. None of it ever gets near anything vaguely resembling a principle or a moral concept. And when you have politicians doing interviews, they're not interviews. The politicians decide what the questions are. And so it's a monologue pretending to be a discussion. Well, two can play that game, as you will soon see. And it's particularly offensive to me that the biggest liars and crooks in the world are basically treated as deities when they're on television. Oh, you call them honorable and you treat them with respect, and you have to, the President of the United States, one of the biggest crooks in the world, and we're supposed to bow to him like he's like some superhuman thing. So I went out of my way to be disrespectful here for the interview I'm about to do. I got my ratty jeans on and wearing my cop block thing, didn't shave. And just as the last act of disrespect for the interview I'm about to do, I'm going to wear a ridiculous hat. Alrighty, I believe we're ready to begin. Let me see if I can get a connection here. Welcome to Tyrant Talk, where we have a little heart-to-heart discussion. Well, it would be heart-to-heart if they had hearts. Well, we have a discussion with some world-class tyrants. So let me see if I can get a connection to our first guest here. Yes, I believe we have George Bush on the line. Georgie Porgy, can you hear me? Are you there?
Yeah, Larken, I hear you, you anarchist bastard.
Good, good. Now, despite the fact that I think you're a sociopathic, fascist, mass-murdering lunatic, I do appreciate you agreeing to do this interview with us.
Most people are going to think you faked this whole thing anyway.
Yeah.
And the folks you have there already, they know what's going on, so I might as well be honest.
Yeah, true enough. I mean, this isn't the sort of the crowd that falls for a line like, you're either with us or you're with the terrorists. So, yeah.
Well, we're still using the old tactics because they still work on most people anyway. Now, sure, we add some new tricks now and then, but the art of mentally enslaving the masses, that's been around for a very long time.
Yeah, and I'd love to see the training that puppets like yourself go through to learn the fear-mongering, the emotional manipulation, and all that fun stuff.
We're trained by the best. And yeah. I guess you could say that every election is like a final exam to decide which of us is the best at bullshitting the stupid peasants into happily accepting their own enslavement.
Yeah, but it's not, they don't just accept it, they demand their own enslavement.
Well, yeah, when we do a really good job, people are just thrilled to throw away their freedoms. It's really kind of funny to watch. It's like lemons stampeding off a cliff.
Lemons?
Lemmings.
Yeah.
Lemons?
No.
George W. Bush, I'm using my words.
Yeah. See, some of us are trying to undo this tyrannical BS, but it does seem that as long as you give Americans a choice between two narcissistic control freaks, they think they're free, which is just...
Of course. Now, if we just came along and out of the blue tried to inflict a police state on you peasants, nobody would put up with it.
Yeah.
But when we gear up the propaganda and the fear-mongering, then we have an election, which is always between two collectivist authoritarians, of course. well, then we can do anything we damn well please to you peasants, while saying that you chose it. That's we're representing you as we rob you blind and spy on you and control you and basically treat you all like crap.
Yeah, and then by the time the people have had it with one of you lying crooks, the puppet masters will bring in a new face talking about change and hope, and it starts all over again. Same thing.
Hey, it's been working for centuries. As long as we give people the illusion of choice, well, they get to pick which master will subjugate and exploit them. Then they imagine they are in charge. It's like livestock thinking they run the farm.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Well, since we're on the topic now, this would be a good time to bring in another narcissistic megalomaniac puppet into the discussion. Let me see if we have. Yes, we have Barack Obama online. Can you hear me, Barry baby?
Yes, I'm here. I didn't realize we were going to be this honest. I mean, George, aren't you a little worried about this?
Come on, you seen how stupid the American people are. We can say anything we damn well please, and most of the sheep will keep right on worshiping us and voting for us.
Yeah.
And the troublemakers already know we're full of crap anyway, so who cares?
I suppose. And like you said, they'll just think this was all faked or something. Now, it might be refreshing to drop the act for a bit, to be able to brag about some of the major strides we've made towards totalitarianism.
Now, on that, I gotta hand it to you, Barry. You ran as an anti-war, pro-civil rights candidate. Now you're personally ordering murders around the world and pushing that police state stuff even further and faster than I ever did. And you still got reelected. That is awesome.
Thank you. I learned a lot from watching you, George.
Well, thank you. I am honored.
The word is honored, but sorry to interrupt your little megalomaniac mutual admiration society meeting here, but I actually think you guys are in serious trouble. You and all the other control freak parasites. You're in trouble. I'm telling you.
Why do you say that?
Well, aren't you worried about the number of people who are escaping the bogus left-right statist paradigm, and they're starting to understand things like self-ownership and the non-aggression principle? And
It's still a small minority, even though, yes, it has been growing fast recently. But I'm confident that we have enough mindless mercenaries, men and women in uniform, who will kill you if and when we tell them to do that. That we can handle it.
see, I'm not so sure. I mean, look at your public push for public disarmament. I mean, you pulled out all the stops on that propaganda stunt. It fizzled. Millions of people ran out and bought guns and ammo, and that doesn't look to me like you have things under control.
We've got a point, Barry. I mean, my party of puppets, at least we pretended to be for gun rights while building up the police state, spying on everyone, throwing due process out the window, and so on. But I think when you guys come along, maybe you tried to push things a little too fast.
Yeah.
Now, come on, George. By the time I got into office, you'd already riled up the peasants so much that a lot of people had already become disillusioned and distrustful of the whole game.
Yeah.
Starting to doubt the divine right of politicians altogether. Then you handed off that mess to me. You did, George.
Hey, I had everyone scared to death of made-up terrorists. They couldn't wait to throw away their freedom in the name of security. By the time you took up the throne, I'd already given you indefinite detention torture. I gave you the drone program. I gave you perpetual war mongering. And could you have accomplished all that without me?
Maybe not. And as we both learned in our tyrant training courses, each candidate has to push authoritarian control a little too far in one direction, so the next puppet can come along and pretend to oppose that, so it looks like people have a real choice. Of course, we never undo any of the totalitarian programs achieved by the puppet who came before, but we can always pretend to be against it.
Yeah, but I think this time you tyrants have pushed things too far. I mean, the proverbial boiled frog, people are starting to notice, and you've just been cranking up the heat, both of you.
I think we can handle it. Yeah, at some point, we might need to exterminate a few million dissidents. But, and let me be clear, I think we can get the majority to approve of that.
All you have to do is label people terrorists. You can do damn near anything you want with them. most of the mindless flag wavers will cheer. It worked for me. I got away with murder, literally.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a bit concerned that the resistance are the ones who still have guns. I mean, yeah, the majority are easy enough to dupe, but there's a growing group that nothing seems to work on. False flag stunts, fear-mongering propaganda, having all my elitist socialist buddies in Hollywood out there doing the emotional manipulation thing. More people are seeing through it now.
Yep.
And there's another problem. Bunch of our own mercenaries are starting to question things.
Yeah.
I mean, for all the decades of research and training that we've invested into creating unthinking mercenaries who will do whatever we say, there are a lot of bad cops and soldiers out there now talking about disobeying orders.
Oath keepers.
Damn, I'm glad I'm not on the throne anymore.
Yeah, well, frankly, I just think the cult of statism is doomed. I mean, a lot of people still believe in the divine right of politicians and the legitimacy of government, but this discussion's begun. It's all over the place. You're not shutting it up now. The cat's out of the bag. Seriously, you're just...
Look, I admit I am concerned. The whining and protesting, I don't mind. But there are a growing number of people out there who don't think we have the right to rule them all.
As long as they're asking us if we'll let them keep some of their freedoms, keep some of their money, we're in good shape. When they start disobeying or resisting, ignoring us, living their lives as if we, the anointed rulers of the world, don't matter, that's really troubling.
We'll be okay. I mean, look what we got away with so far. We robbed the people blind and gave them billions of dollars to our buddies in banking and business, and there was no revolution. We've gutted the concepts of due process, presumption of innocence, freedom of speech, limited powers. Hell, most people didn't even notice.
That reminds me, Larken.
Yeah.
Now, I saw your video. What was that called? About tyranny in the U.S.
Oh, it's called It Can't Happen Here.
Yeah, that one. Now, at first I was a bit worried about the effect it might have on the human livestock. Then I remembered most of them been trained to have an attention span of 10 seconds or less, like me. So I stopped worrying.
Yeah, that video's got like 30,000 views, which is good, but it's only like 1/10,000th of the population. But I mean, there's all sorts of people out there with all sorts of stuff hammering away at the superstition of authority. I mean, it's not just me, it's everywhere out there.
Yeah, I know.
And, I'm about to get my 1 millionth YouTube view, but Stefan Molyneux, he's way the heck ahead of me. You got Lou Rockwell and Ben Stone, Adam Kokesh, Mark Stevens. I mean, the list is huge. They're not going away.
Yeah, look, why haven't we droned these guys yet, George?
Well, it takes time to demonize someone enough to get away with knocking them off. If you do it wrong, you just end up making more rebels.
Well, speaking of which, don't you think you guys are being a little stupid trying to paint almost anybody who criticizes the U.S. government as a terrorist? I mean, anybody who mentions the Constitution, anybody who doesn't like war, anybody who likes Ron Paul, anybody who doesn't like the IRS, you really think you can silence and vilify all these people?
George, do we have the GPS coordinates of where this Porcfest event is taking place?
Not sure. Well, we might be able to get that from a trace on this telephone call.
Okay, because I've got a few drones standing by.
Wait just a few more seconds. And
I'm sorry, that's all the time we have for this show today. But I would like to thank our guests for being on Tyrant Talk. Now, in completely other news, who here has seen the trailer for the movie The Purge? Oh, I don't even want to hear. I could not stomach that. For you, those of you who don't know, and I saw a trailer for it. The premise is for one day or even for half a day, all crime is legal. In other words, there's no government. And of course, in the mind of Hollywood, that means chaos and mayhem and death and destruction and end of the universe. And I did a video about it, making fun of that. But I thought, while I was here at Porcfest, I should make my own response to it. It's only about a minute long. I made it this week. Quiet in the theater. It's only a minute long.
Deep in the mountains of New Hampshire, For 1 week every year, lawlessness reigns.
Hello! Would you like a beer?
Hundreds of strangers of different backgrounds and cultures thrown together, and no law enforcement around to keep things civilized. For 1 week, the fringe elements of humanity run amok. Kooks and weirdos with no respect for authority, and guns everywhere. Mankind's true nature unleashed, unrestrained by any government. For 1 week, a glimpse at the horror and chaos, carnage, mayhem, and anarchy that would ensue if there were no politicians, tax collectors, bureaucrats, and cops around to keep everyone in line. Will anyone survive the porkage?
Rated PG-13. Some material may be existentially disturbing to conformist dupes who still believe the state is propaganda.
So yeah, everybody here knows what really happens when you don't have authority figures around. So yeah, I just had to throw that together. I'll probably stick it on YouTube tonight. So yeah, it's hilarious to see the outside world's view of what in reality is this. I mean, I don't see any murders going along, and it's just a matter of getting people to understand that humanity does not require a giant group of parasites bossing us around and stealing our money. As if anything could be more obvious, but because people have been trained to believe otherwise, they do believe otherwise. And I think it's great to have something like Porcfest that we can actually point to and say, you want to come somewhere for a week where you won't see a single cop and you'll see people you don't know walking around with guns all the time, and everybody's like nice to each other. So it's great to have a real world example to point to. So thank you for all being civilized without authority. That's all. I'm done.
Why do we sit down when all should be standing? And why do we back down at the critical moment, like running away from the waves of the ocean? We head for the hills with the high tide approaching, as sand slips away from the castle. When it's time to stand upright, why do we falter, like placing our freedom on the sacrificial altar? We hold tight to our fears and defend our oppressors as we fight for their lives and become